The old mental institution loomed over us like a dark, brooding giant. Its towering, decaying facade, hidden behind a dense forest, seemed to whisper secrets of the past. My friends, Sarah, Mike, and I had always been fascinated by abandoned places. And this was the ultimate find, an asylum forgotten by time and society. We had heard rumors about the asylum, about the countless tragedies that had unfolded within its walls. It was said that the place was cursed, haunted by the tormented souls of those who had suffered there. Despite the warnings, our curiosity got the better of us, and we decided to explore its depths. The asylum was surrounded by an imposing wrought iron fence, its twisted bars giving off an air of malevolence. It was easy to see why people avoided this place, but the allure of the unknown was too strong to resist. We squeezed through a gap in the fence, and the asylum's courtyard stretched out before us, overgrown with weeds and choked with ivy. As we entered the main building, the oppressive atmosphere closed in around us. The walls were a sickly shade of green, peeling and decayed, as though they had absorbed the suffering of the patients. The floor creaked beneath our feet, a chorus of mournful sighs. Our flashlights cut through the darkness, revealing the remnants of a grim past. Rusty restraints bolted to the walls, shattered glass from long-gone windows, and discarded patient records scattered like leaves. The air was thick with the lingering scent of decay and despair. Sarah shivered. "This place gives me the creeps," she admitted, her voice trembling. Mike, always the skeptic, scoffed. "It's just a building, Sarah, nothing to be scared of." But I couldn't shake the feeling that we were not alone. I sensed a presence, a watchful gaze that seemed to follow us as we explored. I kept my unease to myself, not wanting to fuel their anxiety. We ventured deeper into the asylum, entering a corridor lined with closed doors, each leading to a patient's room. The silence was broken only by our hushed whispers and the occasional drip of water from a leaky ceiling. It was when we reached the end of the corridor that we heard it, a soft, mournful sobbing. We exchanged startled glances, our flashlights trained on the source of the sound, a door at the far end of the corridor, partially ajar. As we approached, the sobbing grew louder, more desperate. The door seemed to beckon us, and against our better judgment, we pushed it open. Inside, we found a small, dimly lit room with peeling wallpaper and a single rickety bed. In the corner sat a frail, hunched figure, her back turned to us. She wore a tattered, faded hospital gown, her matted hair obscuring her face. She continued to sob, oblivious to our presence. "Are you okay?" Sarah called out softly, her voice filled with sympathy. The figure turned slowly, revealing hollow, vacant eyes that seemed to pierce through our souls. She opened her mouth to speak, but instead of words, a guttural, inhuman growl emerged. It was a sound that sent a shiver down my spine, a sound that no human could produce. We stumbled backward in horror, our hearts pounding in our chests. Without another word, we fled the room, leaving the wretched figure behind. As we retreated down the corridor, the sobbing grew louder, echoing through the asylum's haunted halls. We tried to rationalize what we had seen, convincing ourselves that it was a hallucination, a trick of the mind brought on by the oppressive atmosphere of the place. But deep down, we knew that we had encountered something otherworldly, something that defied explanation. Determined to uncover the truth, we continued to explore the asylum, our fear and curiosity warring within us. We entered a large, dilapidated common area where patients had once gathered. The walls were adorned with faded, peeling murals of tranquil landscapes, a cruel contrast to the horrors that had unfolded within these walls. As we examined the room, a chilling wind swept through, extinguishing our flashlights and plunging us into darkness. Panic surged through us, but before we could react, the room was filled with an eerie bluish glow, casting long, distorted shadows on the walls. In the ghostly illumination, we saw them, apparitions of former patients, their gaunt faces contorted in agony, their eyes vacant and tormented. They moved in a slow, synchronized dance, their movements grotesque and unnatural. Mike fumbled for his flashlight, but it remained stubbornly dark. "We need to get out of here," he urged, his voice trembling. But as we turned to leave, the apparitions converged upon us, their ghostly fingers brushing against our skin like ice. The coldness seeped into our bones, freezing us in place. I felt an overwhelming sense of despair, as though the very essence of the asylum had seeped into my soul. The figures drew closer, their faces contorted in silent screams.